there, Bob Orchard coming to you from Old Town Mariposa. And I have with me an old friend, Dan Rule, from Sierra Telephone and Internet.
Yes.
And he came over all the way from Oakhurst today.
Across the river.
Across the river to talk to us with a little bit of an update about what's going on with Sierra Tel.
Well, we've been really busy. The last time I came over here and reported to the Board of Supervisors, as well as to you, Bob, we had 550 miles of fiber optics in the ground, and now we are at 659.
Wow.
Yeah, and we've got 55 businesses that have fiber optics now and 17 homes. And a total of 223 over our serving area for Sierra Telephone.
For you guys out there, just so you know, this is, for me, the business of economic development is all related to the information highway.
That's right.
And the internet is now the economic engine that drives local economies. And for Mariposa and Oakhurst, there's a really unique resource that we have, is that Sierra Tel, many years ago, several years ago, right at the beginning of the revolution.
1895, we put the first phone line in from Mariposa to Merced. So, been around a little while.
Went around a while. So, but the leap into the internet.
Yeah, the technology has changed drastically over the years. And internet is, like you said, the engine. Economic vitality, health and welfare, telemedicine, teleeducation, it's all driven by internet access. And that's why we've put 650 miles of fiber optics into the ground. There's nothing that beats the speed of light.
So, you've made additional upgrades in your service, and I've noticed that in my use of the system as well.
Yeah, we've made a lot of improvements, including a great deal of new speeds and lower prices. We're about to release a new plan that has 800 megabits of speed down and 800 megabits of speed up. A lot of the hotels are asking for that. During the summer, it's not uncommon for each room to have 3 or 4 connections. As you can imagine, iPads and iPhones and everything else that people bring to them on vacation.
You know, just so people understand, you gave me a really beautiful explanation about what capacity is and how many devices you can hook up to a connection and expect it. It's like a water pipe. Exactly,
and one way you can look at it is like a water pipe. You're limited to, well, the analogy I've been using lately is a sprinkler system, right? So how much grass you can grow green depends on how much water you have.
Right.
If you don't have enough water, you're not going to get your pastures green. That works in 2 ways. One, the quantity of water coming in and the type of sprinklers you have. And that would be like your Wi-Fi. So it all ties together. And a lot of folks don't understand that bandwidth is different than speed. So you need the bandwidth to get the speed. And like you said, right now the average home has 10 devices connected at all times.
10.
And we've seen many homes with 17 devices connected, and they're all sharing that bandwidth.
And I just had a neighbor ask if they could tap into my connection.
Well, imagine that's like them wanting to hook up another hose to your house and steal your water.
Well, steal isn't the word they ask.
Borrow. Utilize.
But it limits my capacity.
Correct. It's another device on your network which utilizes that same bandwidth. It's like a highway. You're putting more cars on that highway.
Right.
And you can create congestion.
So anyway, I interrupted you. You had some story to tell about the upgrading of the system.
Right. So right now, our main push is fiber optics. You'll see the trucks throughout the area with the orange reels on the back of them. Those are what we call fiber optic ducts, and DUCTS, not DUCKS. And those hold the fiber optic cable. And like I said, we've got 649 miles of that in our 700 square mile area. And we're bringing that fiber closer and closer to the homes and to the businesses. And those are those larger pipes. The larger the pipe, the faster the speeds. And like I said, we're going to have a new 800 megabit plan. So that's pretty amazing for a small rural community like ours.
There is a burning question that I've been involved with some discussions about, and I know very little bit about it. But there's a thing called have now a 4G network.
Correct. G stands for generation, and
Right.
we've come all the way through. 5G is the new buzzword out there. 5G is a wireless technology, and it depends on line of sight radio transmissions for it to work properly. 5G uses a very high frequency that we call millimeter, and it takes a lot of cell sites or radios. In the city, it's not uncommon to have one every 300 feet in order to establish it to work. Just like cellular, 4G up here doesn't reach every nook and cranny, and 5G will be even more problematic. So again, there's nothing that's going to beat that fiber optic cable in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of buzzwords out there, a lot of excitement. Satellite's the other buzzword. But it comes right down to we're building a network for the future, that future-proof with that fiber optic cable. Again, nothing beats the speed of light.
Nothing.
Nothing, not that I know of at this point.
Well,
Maybe there'll be wormholes in the future, but right now, there's nothing better than glass.
well, we don't want to get lost in physics. But so, where do you see all this going? Sierratel has made a significant commitment to giving us the infrastructure to drive the future.
Right, and we still have that commitment back from 1895 to the current time. We are building a network for the future. In most cases, we stay ahead of a lot of urban areas, and we have a commitment to doing that. We're still a privately held company. We're your neighbors, your friends, your family. We've been here since the beginning. I've been at the company for 27 years.
Really?
And we have employees that have been there for 40 years.
You don't look that old. 27 years.
Yeah, 27 years. But you went back to the economic vitality of small communities like ours. It really does depend on that connection to the world. And I believe we're providing that best connection. Telehealth is a large one. J.C. Fremont here, a lot of their treatments are taken care of over telehealth.
I actually got to see that work.
Yes.
I had some heart issues, and I got examined by a doctor over the internet.
That's right. And that internet connection makes that possible. They're even doing surgeries over the internet.
Really?
You'll have a machine on one end and the doctor on the other.
That's a little scary.
Right. Our school system too uses a lot of internet for teleeducation, higher education. There's a lot of access to the universities in the state with teleeducation, so you can stay here in the small community but still get a college degree.
My daughter-in-law took a degree online.
Yeah, it's more and more common. The other thing about economic vitality is telecommuting. There are a lot of people that work up here that their jobs are from out of the area. Sales engineers, software engineers, and they're all using the internet to run their jobs from their homes. So, another economic driver.
This is the future happening right now.
The future is now, and we're going to keep pace and continue to grow our network and to provide the best service that we can.
Life is good.
Life is great.
Dan, thanks for dropping by and giving me this update.
Bob, thank you for the time again. I really appreciate it.
Well, we're going to talk some more.
Invite me back anytime.
I always have questions.
Yes, you do.
But for you folks out there, if you have some questions, you know how to get a hold of us. And we can maybe put together another show with Dan and talk about some issues that you're dealing with. But for now, I'm going to sign off and say adios.